Hi everybody, welcome to this April 30th Money Mondays with the City of Stillwater. I'm Megan Kasak and we're here with Chief Financial Officer Melissa Reams to talk a little bit today about different funding options. So thank you for joining with us today.
Thanks for having me, Megan. It's always a pleasure to be here and visit about finances at the City of Stillwater.
Absolutely. So you've probably seen the past couple of months that the City of Stillwater has asked you all for your input regarding a few capital critical need projects. Those include relocating Fire Station number 2, relocating the Animal Welfare and Humane Society building, transportation projects, streets, sidewalks, you name it, and then also stormwater drainage improvements for our community. We actually had a big input session last fall, and that included a number of surveys, and we got feedback from you all on those types of projects, and part of that was talking about the different funding mechanisms that we could use, that we could ask for, potentially a general obligation bond or maybe a dedicated sales tax. So today we thought we'd sit down with Melissa and talk about some of these different funding options and why the city is considering certain ones.
Well, let's just start off with the general obligation bond. That is established through a vote of the citizenry, and what they are doing is saying we believe in these projects and we are willing to increase the taxes, or the millage, if you will, on the property that we own. So the target group would be property owners here in the city. In our initial thought process, looking at these projects, we thought that this would made sense for all of the projects. I think it certainly makes sense for the fire station, the relocation of Fire Station number 2, and for the Animal Welfare building. But then as we got to thinking about and we got input from our citizens, some of them came back and said, hey, what about another quarter or half-cent sales tax? We've already got one of those in place. What if we put that out to a vote of the people? And again, that would be their vote of the citizens. How would that play into it? And the more I got to thinking about it and our team got to discussing it, I thought from an equity standpoint, maybe for the stormwater and the transportation projects, an increased sales tax might make more sense, because it's not just the people that live here in Stillwater or the homeowners that are driving on the roads and wading through the puddles and the stormwater, if you will. And so we want to throw that out as well, a sales tax. Now what that sales tax would do is it would secure either a revenue bond, because it would be a direct revenue source against the borrowing, or it would also secure a private placement bond through a bank and through a negotiated process.
All right, so can you explain a little bit about maybe why the city is, well, we're looking at maybe an election in next April 2019.
Correct.
So we're about a year out. So can you explain a little bit about what a mill is and how that would actually affect their property tax?
Well, a mill is a millionth of your taxable value, and it's this process that James Cowan so ably does for us every year gets a little convoluted, because we're not taxed on 100% of our assessed value. It's 11.4%, and then I wish I had a better description for you, but he goes through and whatever our assessed value is, then that mill is 1/1,000,000th of that assessed value. So it's going to depend on the property of how that's going to affect you. We've done some preliminaries, and it's been a while since you and I've looked at that, but I think overall those numbers weren't extraordinarily large. $200 or $300 a year per homeowner, I believe.
Yeah, we actually do have that calculator on our website, where you can actually learn more about all of the critical need projects and these funding possibilities. We do at stillwater.org/go. You can actually kind of test out and see how much increase it might be on your property if it's a depending on what millage increase it would
Right.
be.
And the interesting thing, Megan, I just got my assessed valuation statement from the Payne County Assessor's Office. It came in the mail over the weekend. So now I know what my new assessed value is on my home, and I can go out there and look and kind of calculate by putting it into your calculator that's out there on the website. Yeah.
Absolutely. And if you're interested in seeing how the property tax or the ad valorem tax currently is for Payne County, we actually have a graph on our website that shows what percentage goes to the city of Stillwater, what percent goes to Stillwater Public Schools or the county or Meridian Tech, and how your property tax is actually divvied and used for different organizations and services in the county. So currently the city of Stillwater does have a little bit of millage, and that is from the 2000 election that was passed by voters to build the police department, part of the Stillwater Municipal Building, and some renovations to the municipal building.
And we want our viewers to know that the city can only avail themselves, if you will, of ad valorem tax in a debt situation. Ad valorem tax per state statute is not available to municipalities to fund operations and maintenance. So we can only get that if we have capital type projects like the fire station and the animal welfare building and the roads that we can go out to our citizens and say, would you support this with an increase to your property taxes?
And Oklahoma is kind of a rarity in the fact that we really require mainly on sales tax for just general city operations.
Absolutely. So
is there something else on this comparison chart? We are going to be putting this on our website, but is there anything else on here that you maybe might want the public to understand?
Well, I found it very interesting, the debt service coverage requirement. It's with lenders, it's not necessarily a one-to-one relationship. If I know I have revenue coming in of $4 million, that doesn't mean that I can go out and borrow $4 million. They want to see a ratio there that says that your debt can be, your annual debt can be serviced by the revenue coming in, and that revenue is sufficient enough to weather any kind of changes you might have, mainly on the downside. And so with sales tax, that's a good example. Let's say that we had, I don't know, what would cause our sales tax to go down. Everybody's shopping from internet providers that don't pay sales tax. But if we had gone out and borrowed money based on a certain figure, let's say $4 million, and that drops off dramatically, they're trying to give themselves and us some cushion to make sure that we can make those debt payments successfully and weather the storm, if you will, as it comes along.
All right. Well, again, stillwater.org/go is where we have a lot of information that we've talked about today, a lot of information about those critical need projects, the fire station number 2, animal welfare, streets, and stormwater drainage. You'll be seeing a lot more from the city in the coming months. We'll be talking about these topics and being out in the community. You finished up a lot of outreach just talking about fiscal year 19 budget process. Is there anything you'd like to give an update about that?
Well, the next stage in the process is we will have resolutions for the council and trustees to approve at the May 7th council/trustees meeting. And I think the public is welcome to come to that. It's not like a public hearing, but they could make comments because this would be on the agenda, and they could sign up to make a comment about it if they chose to. Published it in the newspaper again, Sunday's paper yesterday, and then a week from Sunday there will be in the paper as well. But we've kind of we're winding down. We've got it pretty solidified. We're happy with where we're at and what we can afford to do, and we're going to just hopefully have the counselors and the trustees bless it, and then we'll be ready to input and start our new year.
Absolutely. And if you want to learn more about the budget process and see some of the reports, you can go to stillwater.org/budget. And that has a lot of information too about sales tax and use tax and how vital it is to funding our core city services.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, do you have anything else to add, Melissa?
I think
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us, and thank you all for tuning in. If you do have a question that you'd like us to answer later on afterwards, just give us tell us in the comment section, and we'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. But
Absolutely.
Thank you all.